Have you always loved Roman ruins? Is your idea of a vacation taking in the ocean view after a tsunami? Then go Disaster Tourists with your tour guides, Prince Harry and Meghan Markle. It's the vacation of a lifetime of someone else's memories. Or as actress Justine Bateman calls it, a repulsive photo op.
Justine Bateman is criticizing Meghan and Harry's visit to the Altadena destruction.
Because the couple left their Santa Barbara compound to survey homes in the city of Altadena destroyed by the still raging California fires.
And they are getting eviscerated.
Including by Justine, who posted,
Meghan and Harry are no better than ambulance chasers. What a repulsive photo op they achieved. They are tourist disaster tourists.
Disaster tourism is the right word.
Nobody has any reason to be at the destruction other than people trying to rebuild their lives and find their belongings.
There was an announcement today that having any one person up there is unnecessary is a safety issue for all people.
If I couldn't go to see if my home's even standing and Meghan and Harry get in, I'd be pissed.
To be fair, they didn't just tour the rubble. The couple also visited refugees at an evacuation center and spoke to the local mayor about how they can help. So, is Justine Bateman wrong about them?
She's not wrong.
She's not wrong.
Well, she's wrong. First of all, Meghan is from L.A.
She doesn't live here anymore.
Yeah, but aren't they raising awareness for the fires?
What awareness are you talking about?
If a social media influencer has fans and goes to a charitable outpost, like an equestrian center, and says, hey, come out here.
Evacuation center?
No, some people were saving horses.
Hold on, I volunteered at an equestrian center yesterday.
Thanks for raising our awareness of that. As for these two,
There are residents who don't know if their homes are standing, and they're going in? All right, Justine, we heard you. Great.
Well, hello, everyone. Good to see you. I'm doing a quick live stream. We usually do them on Tuesdays. We're here on Thursdays because there is a great debate raging. Yes, I'd love to know. Do you think that Justine Bateman is correct? And things just seem to be getting worse here because now it seems that they have broken the law. That's right. So let me know, of course, where you're from in the comments below. It's always wonderful to see how many people all across the globe are tuning in and listening to what's going on here when it comes to Meghan and Harry, royal news generally, cultural commentary, and of course, classical femininity. So welcome, everybody. Good to have you here. Lots of news has been coming out here lately, and I broke down a little bit of it in our Saturday video. So make sure to go check that out if you haven't yet. But things continue to get worse when it comes to Meghan and Harry, and it now seems that they've broken the law. That's right. That was referenced a little bit there in that TMZ video, but I want to walk you through exactly what the code is that they seem to have broken, what it looks like might be a law that is going to interfere with them, and more. So first of all, I just want to say it's been very difficult for me to be covering this. I think just let me know if you're this way in the comments below, but the more that I cover this couple, I think the harder it is for me to research. And I found in my most recent video, you'll know I talked a lot about Blake Lively as well. It is extremely difficult to watch these clips because the more that I realize the problems with Meghan and Blake and these other people that are so self-absorbed, it's so hard to watch content. So let me know if you're the same way. Put that in the comments below. But I really appreciated seeing people like Princess Katherine this week who are so authentic to themselves and so grounded in their values, because watching these clips can be so hard. So I just want to mention that that's been really challenging for me, and it probably is for you too. I used to be a big Meghan fan. You may not know that, but it's been a journey for me to really open up my eyes, and I think a lot of people are opening up their eyes right now as well. So I also want to talk here in just a little about why this even matters. Meghan and Harry, of course, are a lot of tabloid fodder. And I think there's something a lot deeper here that we all can learn from, more than just the ridiculousness that is Meghan and Harry. So let me pull up here the California Penal Code. This is what really opened up my eyes. Can you see my, oh yes, let me pull up my screen here. This is the California Penal Code. Yes, I went through it all. Because I think it actually matters. It might seem like it's, not as maybe I'm so obsessed I have to find a problem with them. I'm sure I'm going to get a comment like that. But let's jump in here because there's a level of access that Meghan and Harry were given when it came to the desolation in Los Angeles that is remarkable to me because they are not royals. They want to act like they are, but they actually in pretending that they were contributing something here, they're actually creating some serious problems for the people around them, and their own desire to help, if that is true, is causing problems. So let's look here. This was something that really was opened. My eyes were opened by Dan Wooten on this, so you may have seen him cover this just a bit. But this is Penal Code 409.5, and this is where it talks about the crimes and punishments and crimes against the public peace. So if we go down to 409.5 section D, it says, actually, I'm going to go to C. An authorized person who willfully and knowingly enters an area closed to pursuant to subdivision and who willfully remains in the area after receiving notice to evacuate to leave shall be guilty of a misdemeanor. I'm going to make this just a little bit bigger so you guys can see the same. It says, this subdivision does not authorize a duly authorized representative of a news service, newspaper, or radio or television station or network to facilitate or transport the person within an area. Pardon me, I skipped that. Or network to facilitate the entry of a person into or facilitate the transport of a person within an enclosed area unless for the safety of the person pursuant to this section that the person is not duly authorized. Blah, blah, blah. So clearly we saw them wandering around in the rubble, and some of the clips from TMZ here showed that. If I go back to some of that here, this was a highly debated topic on TMZ, which is noteworthy in and of itself. There they are. Oh, this is them climbing around. Oh dear. Oh, there we go. You can see them climbing around on the rubble there. Surveying things. And clearly this is an area that's marked off. There's another clip. I'll try to find it. They talk about how people in Los Angeles are not allowed to actually go back to their homes right now. So what in the world gives Meghan and Harry the right to do this? Now, I've seen a lot of people spinning this, that this is out of the kindness of their hearts, that this is something that Meghan and Harry are simply wanting to support. Meghan is from Los Angeles. Absolutely. I could see how, maybe she's upset about the little red schoolhouse, but to have some self-awareness and know that this is the way that the public sees you, and then to want to enter into that, there's a lot of people who can hand out water bottles and apples and things like that, but sending money and support is probably the most helpful route, actually. Now, Meghan did appear yesterday in the news that she had been supporting a pop-up for young teenage girls who had been affected by the fires. However, Meghan appeared, let me find a photo of it here, with her bag in tow of our place, and suddenly all the news media knew about it. So there's something to say about the news media picking up on it immediately because she has sent in quotes about it. That is not how all these other celebrities have been helping out. So clearly there's some questions here around the way that she has tried to help out. And we know from her track record, because of what happened in Uvalde, that this is very much questionable. Overall, it seems that they've broken the law because they're putting their own desires over the ones of the people around them. Now, they may or may not have known that this was actually a law that was being broken, but you have to ask some questions and have some security concerns about wandering around in the rubble purely for PR purposes. What's the point? Like, we all know that there is a problem. That we all know that this is a disaster. So why do you have to make it even worse unless it's for your own reputation to go and wander around here. So I just have some questions when it comes to her own view of herself. Like I said, I used to be a Meghan fan. I see a question in the chat about that, and I'll talk about that momentarily. But this is very questionable to me. So this was a TMZ video here that I showed at the beginning, but it really marks a big change here for the U.S. media. There was a time that the U.S. media was their best friend. Truly. They were positioned after the Oprah interview to be the ones that were saving Meghan and Harry from the horrible British press. But things have changed. And we see that here in this video and in TMZ's response. We have not only TMZ, but we have tons of other mainstream media outlets that are calling them out. So here's the article from TMZ from a few days ago that says, Family Ties star Justine Bateman, hey, Harry and Meghan, you're just ambulance chasers. By the way, she's really awesome. I like her a lot. Prince Harry and Meghan Markle's wildfire relief efforts in LA aren't being appreciated by at least one celeb. There's another celebrity that spoke out today against them, very high profile. Jillian, why can't I remember her last name right now? Put it in the chat, y'all. Meghan Markle and Harry are no better than ambulance chasers. What a repulsive photo op they achieved. They are touring the damage. Are they politicians now? They don't live here. They're tourists, disaster tourists. Palisades fire. I think it's just remarkable that the media has taken and run with this because, yeah, I know this is Justine Bateman. I'm trying to remember the name of the other celebrity who called them out today that made things even worse. Bateman jumped on X over the weekend to go and rant about the former British royals, starting off by labeling Harry and Meghan ambulance chasers. The Family Ties actress then blasted the couple for a repulsive photo op in which they were filmed Friday touring the disaster area near Pasadena along with that city's mayor. Bateman added, are they politicians now? They don't live near here. They are tourists, disaster tourists. I believe they drove over 100 miles to come and tour. In fairness, Harry and Meghan live in California, but in beautiful Montecito. Okay, I was right, about 90 miles north of LA. The two reportedly opened their mansion to friends and family impacted by wildfires, doling out supplies and other essentials. Meanwhile, Bateman also slammed LA officials during the interview last week on Jesse Waters. She told Waters the officials should be fired for their handling of the wildfires. 100%. That is 100% California's problem. Everybody here should know that. So clearly TMZ is giving the spotlight to stories like this. Megyn Kelly has also done some great spots lately talking about how this is the final straw for Harry and Meghan. This is the nail in the coffin. And it's interesting to see everybody, especially mainstream news, kind of take a turn here. And I hope that it continues on that way. For them, it's clear that virtue signaling comes first. And I did a whole video on this recently because virtue signaling to Meghan and Harry is the old way to get attention. If you haven't seen my Saturday video all about the celebrities that are going extinct, go check that out because that's the MO of people like Meghan and Harry who are trying to get attention. That doesn't work anymore. Sorry, that doesn't work. What they did should have resulted in a misdemeanor. You can see this here. This should have been a misdemeanor for Harry and Meghan, but instead they posed in a picture with these city officials who I guess had nothing better to do than take a picture with them. This is crimes and punishments of doing this. So I just want to be clear. It's not that I'm just trying to be so harsh on Harry and Meghan right now. I think there's a lot of people out there that are just trying to stir up drama about this, that are just trying to get a headline because Meghan Markle's name has such high SEO. It's not about that for me. I think it's fascinating to see the fall of Meghan, who had the whole world at her fingertips and chose to lean into a worldview that identified her as a victim. And instead, she has had the repercussions of that. She's had the protection of the US media for some time, but now things are clearly changing. Here's her statement that they released about the Southern California fires. I find this to be so ridiculous. I talked about this in my Saturday video. What in the world are they going to be sharing that no one else is talking about? The LA Fire Department Foundation is working closely to support firefighters who risk their lives. Is this the time to talk about the fire department? I think it's great to give money. Go do that. But don't give to the Archwell Foundation who's going to take part of it. That's just how most foundations are, unfortunately. So, not only are they trying to get involved in things to reposition them as senior royals, but they're effectively utilizing and weaponizing the law and taking people who should be fighting these fires. There's not enough firefighters. That fire is still not contained. It's ridiculous. Those are the people who should be involved, and instead they're posing for photos. So here you can see some photos of them. I don't know what's going on here. Harry's looking at the cameras. It's a little bit odd. But again, I don't want to just be ratting on them because I want to be mean. That's not the point at all. There's so much more to be said around the two of them. But I think it really highlights the fall of virtue signaling. Like I said, it worked for a few years for people to do this. But I think it's such a stark comparison to Princess Katherine. And Princess Katherine came back to royal duties this last week in a really poignant way. And she decided to visit Royal Marsden Hospital, which she's now a patron of, as her very first engagement back this week. And we cannot help but compare what's happening in LA right now to the work that Princess Katherine does, because this is where Meghan and Harry came from. But there's some remarkable photos in here. Even in Katherine's return, she's putting the spotlight back on other people. It's not about her. I'm sure that there's somebody who spins this in a way like, well, Katherine can't get over herself. She has to focus on her cancer. That's not what I'm saying. The point is, she's trying to highlight other people. And she's continually done this over and over again. There's some beautiful photos here. I absolutely love this one. And I've spoken so many times about how Katherine's whole worldview is completely different than that of Harry and Meghan. We all know this. If you haven't figured that out right by now, I hope that you can learn something from this channel. But she wants to share her own experiences in a way that uplifts others. This was a private or a surprise event. It wasn't something that was public. Also, it highlighted the fact that she was coming here weekly, and not a single person who worked at the Royal Marsden Hospital leaked that information to the press. It is possible for her to live a private life without people running to the press. And so, as we see these beautiful photos of people who are still struggling and fighting cancer, it's remarkable to see that she did this all privately. And I can't imagine the emotions that she was going through as she had her own cancer battle. There's a quote in here where she talks about how it was shocking to her to walk through the front door because she had to sneak in through the back so many times. So I think she is just remarkable in so many ways to want to spotlight other people in this in comparison to the way that Meghan and Harry spotlighted their own initiatives. So for me personally, I think this matters a lot because there are so many people who take a look at what Meghan and Harry are doing and see the surface level of it. They see the way that they are trying, as they say, to highlight others. But on this channel, we talk a lot about classical femininity because for me personally, I've always looked up to women who have an amazing work-life balance, who love and embrace their femininity. But it was really hard for me when I was in college, when I was in high school, to try to find someone who I could admire who wasn't embracing victimhood and also wanting to embrace their family and traditions, which some traditions are bad, but the way that Katherine has done it has been an amazing example to me. And that's part of the reason why I started this channel, because I think that's something that's lost in our culture. The way that we embrace true, real elegance, which I think is something Katherine is, of course, known for. But I started studying elegance and I started studying the way that Katherine has lived out her life and embracing what's called classical femininity and the values that are the root of everything that you do and embracing truth, goodness, and beauty. So that's here why I just look up to Katherine so much. We can see the juxtaposition between her and Meghan and Harry so clearly and more than ever, especially in these 2 visits, and the way that she has set up other people instead of herself. So that is kind of my mission here at the Swish. And I've got so many amazing things that I want to share with you in that mission here in the coming days. On Saturday, I have a really big announcement about that. So I'd love to have you be in the know. If you want to click the link in the description to learn more about classical femininity, make sure you're on my newsletter. We've got another letter going out tomorrow morning talking about this difference between Meghan and Katherine. It's not all about that. I think it's this lifestyle of classical femininity that has been lost in our culture. So I really hope that together, for those of you who are watching this channel, I don't ever want it to just be about hating on Meghan, but recognizing where that type of worldview and lifestyle leads and how we can together work towards something that's even greater and embracing our femininity together. So that's what I wanted to share today and kind of talk about how these things are very different. So make sure you click the link in the description and can learn more. But I know we've got some questions here. We can talk about a couple more things if you would like. Thank you so much to Psychedelic Yoda for your super chat. I do have super chats turned on today. That's so kind of you. I really want to make our movement here something so much bigger than just criticism of Meghan and Harry, because truly I believe that they are going to be failing. I believe that it's just going to become so much of a joke that all we're going to be talking about is joke life every single time I get on here. And it's kind of humorous and we love doing that, but I want it to be rooted in something a lot deeper. So thank you so much, Psychedelic Yoda. Love Her Royal Highness Princess Catherine. She said she spelled her name wrong. Thank you for fixing that. California has only had 0.44 inches of rainfall since September, which is a big cause for the fires. Actually, they've had one of the biggest rainfalls historically. At least that's my research. Maybe I'm wrong. I'll have to look into that. But I know the problem was that their reservoirs were drained. They didn't have any water to fight it. So that's very, very concerning. I saw a question up here earlier from Lisa Elaine. What made Meghan so attractive to you? The only thing I knew about her when he married her was she was older and divorced. I told my daughter this will not end well, and she said, "You're crazy." Yeah, I think the younger generation, I don't know how old you are, but if you have a daughter, I'm probably similarly in that worldview, because that's exactly how I was when they got married. I was really excited for Meghan and Harry because it was the perfect fairy tale. I was in college at the time. I was in my freshman year. I remember watching the interview with Meghan and Harry, and I had never heard of Meghan before. I had looked her up because I didn't know. I think the rest of the world was that way as well. And oh, I see. You're referring to Southern California. Your parents live there. Gotcha. Okay, that makes sense. Yeah, that's part of the problem too. But the reservoirs of LA were not filled. So that's definitely a mismanagement problem. What was I saying? I apologize. Meghan was really attractive to me because I loved that I was fascinated about the royals and that an American had married in and that it was going to be a new era for the royal family. But unfortunately, that did not turn out well. And as I started to see these engagements that she was going on, and just the way that she carried herself, I think you can tell a lot from how women carry themselves. I was a little confused by that. Yeah, Kay Cydia, Meghan is not an attractive woman. She isn't graceful, elegant, or kind to people around her. I think William and Catherine had a bad sense about her. Well, you have to date people for a while to figure them out in their environment, especially if you're going to be marrying into a family that's as important and as traditional as the British royal family. So I think your point here about Kesa, and let me go back to some of these photos here. Meghan is, I think, in a worldly way, really, really beautiful. But beauty goes so much deeper than just what you're wearing or what you're doing. And I think that's a fallacy that so many people have been confused by when it comes to celebrities. I talked about this in my video last Saturday, or was it Sunday? When did I post that? My most recent video. That the things that you wear and the way that you treat people are, they can all be manufactured. They can all be manufactured. And that's why I think a lot of people have this wrong view of elegance, that it's something that you can put on or wear and that it's an aesthetic. But I think that it's so much more than that, because elegance has so much to do with the way that you are rooted in your values, the way that you are thoroughly acting no matter where you are. And we've seen that in these examples of Meghan. So I like to cover Meghan because I think it's an extreme example of where embracing the wrong kind of elegance can go wrong, and how if you buy into these values, or if you don't buy into real true values, then you are going to be a failure, unfortunately. And I wish that young women my age learn more about that they could understand the depth and the richness it comes to tying yourself to something so much bigger than yourself. So anyways, that's kind of where I'm at with this, but this is destructive on every level. It's fascinating to see the fall of Meghan and Harry. This is like a mainstream conversation now, and in a negative way. 4 years ago, is that when the sit down interview was with Oprah? Was it 4 years ago? Oh my goodness, it was at 2021. We're coming up on the anniversary of that. People were really confused because they had the wool pulled over their eyes because of the aesthetics that they used. And I think the same thing is trying to happen here again with their Netflix show. So 4 years ago, the media was confused. They were trying to cover it the best they knew how, but if you hadn't done the research, then you wouldn't really know what was going on here. So as we come up on the 4-year anniversary, we are going to be learning so much more about what's going on, and the world is so different, which reminds me, Meghan and Harry have really messed up when it comes to the way that they're handling this meta thing. I watched Biden's farewell address yesterday, and it just had me cackling because of the way that he sounded like Meghan and Harry in this. It just sounds so desperate. This is not the way that you handle these things. Meghan comes across as highly political in the way she's handling this, which, first of all, you're not supposed to do with these titles that they have. But the way that they handled this was remarkable. I see this comment in here saying, people seem to think that Meghan is a highly intelligent person, but I think she can manipulate people short term, but she appears to be actually insane. I don't know if she's actually insane, but this is really fascinating to me in their response, because we know that they loved, oh, let me take this off. They love fact checking. And sorry, fact checking is not the best way to go about this, as we've learned. Meghan is not a role model when it comes to these conversations, and especially when they talk about free speech. Who are they to talk about this? I think Megyn Kelly called her bad girl number 40 from no, it wasn't. Deal or No Deal. Bad girl number 40 of Deal or No Deal is telling us about how to fact check our media. And that's just ridiculous to me. This comes across as so desperate, some of these lines. We're particularly alarmed by plans to abandon commitments to diversity and equity, coupled with internal policy changes that undermine protections for marginalized communities. These decisions echo what experts, whistleblowers, and families have raised in hearing the online harm, especially regarding our children's safety. To ignore this is knowingly putting everyone in harm's way and contributing to global mental health crisis. These are such big words, but it's just fascinating to me that she's wanting to get involved in this conversation. And I believe that there is free speech, but more than free speech, there's free thought. And free thought is predicated on the idea of us being able to share things. So, anyways, that's a lot of information for today about Meghan and Harry breaking the law, the way that they've responded to law changes, and overall the way that I see Princess Catherine's role in all of this, so that we can all embrace what is true, good, and beautiful in our femininity. And those are Platonic ideals. I don't go into all of that, but that's something that I talk about in my masterclass when it comes to the truth, goodness, and beauty of femininity. There's a whole strategy here. So anyways, thank you guys so much for watching. Make sure you're tuned in for the Saturday announcement. I'm so excited about this. I have been working on it for months and months and months, and I can't wait to share it with you guys. So thank you guys so much, and I will see you guys soon. Click the link in the description below to get on my newsletter and make sure that you're receiving that for tomorrow. Alrighty. Thank you guys. Bye.